The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning, everyone. Steve Murray here with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. We are ready to go with our webinar regarding 401k rollovers and seminars associated with those. Wanted to touch base with y'all just real quick, give you a couple of thoughts to keep in mind as we're rolling through our webinar today. As you know, our co-host is Dave Pimper. Dave is the president of Lazarus Coaching and does some one-on-one coaching on practice management for some of our guys, does one-on-one seminar coaching around both 401k and IRA rollovers and Social Security claiming. So a really good asset for folks. A lot of experience in the seminar business, which we'll talk a little bit more about very soon here. As we get started, a couple of house cleaning details for you. Number one, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in and hit send, and we'll get them asked and answered just as quickly as we can. We'll have a couple of polls that will pop up. Your quick answer to those is very much appreciated. So if you see a poll come up, we're not asking for real solid commitments on any of those. They're really just signaling for you a level of interest of either yes or no. So we appreciate your quick response to those. We're going to talk about a few things as we get started here this morning that are more kind of based on some of the programs that IAMS has. One of them, it's been a program that we've had in place now for about 7 or 8 years. It's our RPM program. RPM program is pretty simple. We're asking you to refer folks to us, and when you refer folks to us and they get appointed with us with any carrier, we send you a check. As you can see there for $50, no big deal there. But as they do business, we send you an ongoing bonus on their business. And that is truly a bonus. It comes out of our pocket. It actually comes out of our advertising budget and does not come out of the person that you refer's pocket at all. Nice little program to help you grow some additional ways that you can find some money to spend on your marketing or just spend on yourself. So we send out checks on a quarterly basis, and they get to be pretty large after a while. And so you'd be surprised how quickly just a few basis points here or there can grow. It's 20 basis points on annuities and a percentage on life insurance and single premium life as well. So it can get added up pretty quickly for you. And again, send out a lot of those checks, and none other that we prefer to send out than the RPM check. So if you have somebody that you want to refer, simply let your sales director or anyone here at the office know that you want to refer. Give us a name, number. We'll take it from there. We'll make the phone call. If they get contracted, you're in the system as a refer, and we'll send you out a check. And then if they start doing business, we'll send you out checks every quarter. So thank you very much for your referrals. We appreciate them a great deal. Also, we have marketing reimbursement. That slide is now incorrect. So we used to have a couple of different levels of marketing reimbursement and DOL based. We've at least on the annuity side, gotten that down to one level. And so I'll send you all, if you'd like to see our marketing reimbursement flyer. Still a good program. Obviously, it's a way to, again, help allow us to help pay for your marketing and give yourself a chance to kind of double your marketing budget. So we appreciate your business. We appreciate the opportunity to send out marketing reimbursement dollars, and any business that you do with us, whether it's life insurance, annuities, long-term care, single premium life, all of that is marketing reimbursable. Shelby in our office keeps track of those levels, and you can always call her and find out what you have in there. And then basically we match your spending dollar for dollar. So take advantage of both of those programs to build your business. For those of you, and I'm looking at our list, we do have some new folks to IAMS on board. So I'll mention this briefly. There's 3 levels that you can claim a new producer bonus at, and you've got 180 days to do it. Of special import here might be the $500,000, or actually it's 500,000 point level. So different products have different point equivalents, $1 for dollar for annuity. So if you did $500,000 of annuity business with us, you could claim that 4,000 piece mailing and seminar coaching with Dave Pimper, which would automatically get you in the seminar business here on the 401k and IRA rollover seminar that we're going to be talking about, or if you want to do Social Security, any of those. So we can get you in the seminar business if you haven't been in it. If you already are in the seminar business, you want us to help pay for your mailings and do some things like that. That's a great way to do it, is to take advantage of the new producer bonus and marketing reimbursement. Great programs. It's our way of kind of welcoming you aboard to IAMS on a really strong basis. And as you can see, most of the incentives there revolve around ways that you can grow your business. But we do have like the Ritz-Carlton travel package there if you want, or a gift card that you can take advantage of as well. We'll add money, a lump sum to your marketing reimbursement account. We're big. We think marketing is really the key to success that we've seen over the past 5 or 7 years with some of our regular top producing agents. All of them are doing some regular and substantial marketing, and it's paying off in spades. So we're big on the marketing reimbursement part of the opportunities that we make available to you. Hopefully you'll see the advantages of that as well. But if not, and you just want to get a little cash bonus or do the Ritz-Carlton travel package, there's things like that as well. Many of you are aware of what we do on the back office side. We're basically renowned within the industry, within our industry, as probably the number one FMO in that regard. So whether you're looking for someone that you can talk to about case design, or whether you sent your piece of business in and you submitted it and want to make sure that that goes through as quickly and as cleanly as possible, there's just nobody better in our industry. And I think our competitors would agree with that. There's just nobody better at it than the team here at IAM. So it starts with us picking up the phone and answering it right away when you call. So you're not talking to a voicemail or not leaving a message and hoping for the best to have somebody get back to you. We pride ourselves on picking up that phone within a couple of rings, and you're going to find that we're pretty good about that when you call. So take advantage of the service. For many of you that have, I see we've got a number of you that have been doing business with us literally for decades. Thank you for that, by the way. You know all that. The folks that are just with us, service is a hard thing for me to sell, but I can tell you that when we have our top producer meetings and call everybody in, we say, okay, what's the thing? What's the one thing that you would never want to see changed at IAMS? And almost without fail, it's that, hey, I like the fact that when I call, I get a live answer and get the answer to my question right there, because sometimes timing is critical and we know how important that is. So it's an expensive thing for us. We got to keep the staffing up to do it, but we think it's worthwhile. And our producers over the years have told us that they agree. So take advantage of that back office. Also take advantage, and this is really key, I think, for all of you out there that are not doing some things right now on a regular basis to be out in front of folks in your area on a regular basis to kind of get some of that flow of unsolicited calls into your office. So if you don't have your Facebook and your website and your business cards, and if you aren't doing a newsletter, if you don't have like a way that you keep the prospects that you want to do business with aware of who you are and what you do and how you do it, let us help you with that. And the key really is that, you can go to an agency and you can say, hey, these are the things that I need to put in place. And they literally charge you thousands of dollars for that to get it set up, and hundreds of dollars on a monthly ongoing basis to keep it going. We've got all that stuff in place. We're very specific to our industry, so it'll be easier for you. We've got, I don't want to say cookie cutter websites, but we got cookie cutter template websites that you can then, get very, very much customized for your needs. And we'll help you through that process the whole way. And it's really, very, very cost effective for you. Newsletters, whether we're delivering via email or mail, we can do that in a cost effective manner for you. Getting your Facebook right for what you need so that you can use that for advertising. If you're not, call and talk to, Josh or Tej and say, how do I do that? Because it's, probably the simplest and least expensive untapped resource that you could take advantage of. Things like that. And the people, Tasia and Josh and Andrew, that team of folks in there, is they do it every day, and they do it for other people just like you every day, so they can make it really easy, really free or inexpensive, whichever the case may be. So take advantage of that creative department. If you're not, just call them up and say, hey, this is me. What can you do to make me better? And they'll give you some ideas that, believe me, right out of the gate will make you money. So call that creative department up and take advantage of it. One of the things that we have done is kind of up the game on our websites. We've got some great tools out there. I would recommend right away that if you haven't looked at the website, that you go in and take a peek, and specifically go to the section. You can't see it real well on what you see here in front of your screen, but there's a section that is labeled support, and under support there's a section called the IAMS library. That IAMS library is chock full things that you can use with your clients, things that you can email your clients, things that you can, methods you can go about contacting potential prospects. There's even a feature on there where you can go in and say, okay, I've got a client that lives here. Who are some other people that fit that same client's profile that are right in his area that I could go to that client and say, hey, do you know this person? That's a great way to get some referrals. So there's a lot of great stuff on that IAMS library, and that's fairly new. For those of you that have never been in the website, never looked at it, there's a great annuity search engine. You can go in and say, okay, who's got the best MIGA rate? Who's going to give me the best income? Who's got the best S&P one-year point-to-point cap? And you can go in and search very specifically for all of that on the search engine. It's great stuff if you haven't used that. If you're in the life insurance game and need some quoting and need it done right now and it's 10 o'clock at night, there's a quote engine on there for you that can help with that as well. Underwriting stuff that can help. And there's just a lot of great tools. If you haven't registered for that website, you're missing out. Take advantage of that. And if you need some help with that, call your sales director and say, hey, get me registered on your website. Walk me through and show me just a couple of these things that all of your guys are using to their benefit. Great resource to take advantage of if you're not using it. So check out the IAMS website. It's www.iamsinc.com. Retirement Analyzer, call Marcus Soller. Marcus is out here this morning, but he'll be in later this afternoon. Give Marcus a call here this afternoon if you want to learn more about that. It's a great software tool that you can use one-on-one with your client. Very comprehensive look at how they're doing on their kind of retirement goals, their dreams, what they want to do, and can really help people understand the difference between what they want to do, what they are equipped to do, and how they are standing at any given time on meeting their retirement goals. Retirement Analyzer is probably the most comprehensive and client-friendly retirement analysis software there is out there. Right now, we pay a monthly fee to give our guys access to it, and we're going to continue to do that. So give Marcus a call up and say, hey, give me access to that. Let me try it for 30 days and see if it's something that I can use in my business. And by the way, Marcus, can you walk me through one or two, or can you show me what this looks like, and let him help you, take advantage of a great benefit that we make available to anybody that is appointed with IAMS. That's Retirement Analyzer. Give Marcus a call. If you have not taken advantage of IAMS Wealth or looked at them very closely, that's our new RIA. I say new now. It's just about a year old. Charles Hiring is the main contact person for it there. So if you're looking for an RIA, or if you're thinking about becoming an IAR and need some assistance with that process, give Charles a call. If you like, in fact, let's do this real quick if I can make my polls come up. If you have interest in maybe taking advantage of what IAMS Wealth can do for you, just check yes on that. And what that will do is Mike or Charles will give you a call and see where your interest lies, and whether you've got a current RIA maybe that you're not happy with, or maybe you're uncomfortable with the platforms and how they do business and want to see if we've got something that might be more comfortable for you. That would be a truly great question to spend some time with them on. Secondarily, if you're thinking about becoming an IAR, we've got a great system set up to help you through the process on a step-by-step basis. Who knows what's going to happen come next summer in terms of not summer of 18, but summer of 19, in terms of what the DOL is going to do. But I think you're going to find probably even before that, there'll be some suggestions coming from the SEC that may not be suggestions. There may be some things coming from even the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, and all of those may mean that you want to lend your practice to a more global approach to someone's retirement and financial well-being. So if that's something that has of interest right now for you, and you want to begin exploring that, hit yes on that. Let the folks at IAMS Wealth give you a quick call. Again, you're not committing to anything. All you're doing is asking for just a little bit more information. And you all have been really quick. There's about 6 or 7 of you that haven't voted, and it may be that you can't. Let me check real quick. And I do see that a couple of you are unable to vote because you're just listening in. So what I'll say there is, if you want to give me a call, that would be fine. I would love to chat with you. I can put you in touch with the folks from IAMS Wealth if you like, or if you have a couple more questions that you'd like to answer, just give me a call. That number here, of course, is 800-255-5055. Appreciate the fact that you've all voted so quickly on this poll, and I hope you'll do the same on any other ones we have coming up. So on that basis, just a few of you that haven't been able to vote, give me a call, and I'm going to go ahead and close that poll out so we can get moved on here. We're going to have another poll come up here because we are really at the beginning of this year for 2018 for our academies. We'll have 3 or 4 of them this year. The first one is nearing completion. That one is at the end of March. If you want to be included on that one, you will definitely need to give us a call. Don't just answer yes to this, but give us a call here at the office at 800-255-5055 and ask for me or any of our sales directors and let us know that you would like to be included in this upcoming academy at the end of March. We're doing it in Des Moines, by the way. For those of you that maybe you're a little bit better planners ahead and want to look at an academy later in the year and want more information, what I would ask you to do is to check yes on this poll. When you check yes on the poll, what will happen is that you'll get a sample itinerary. You'll also get a registration form as well, and you look at the itinerary. If it looks like a good fit for you, then send the registration form back, and then that will put you on our list of people that we will contact for upcoming academies. So if you have interest in joining us for academy, hit yes if that's not something that's of interest, or if you've been into one of our academies in the last 24 months or so, I would appreciate it if you check no on that and give me a call if you want to come back in. So let's talk about the academies for just a second while you're thinking about that. So we have 4 top producers that come in and they make available seminars, sales strategies, sales ideas, sales approaches. So that really the cornerstone of our Life and Annuity Academy is those 4 top producers. Beyond that, we'll have some folks from carriers that will come in and talk a little bit about product, and we always ask them to throw in some sales ideas. You'll have a group from IAMS, and myself included, that will be there, and we'll have some ideas and that hopefully will help you grow your business and increase the sales that you're able to do on a daily, monthly, and weekly basis with sales ideas and marketing approaches. We will talk a little bit about product. We don't spend a lot of time on that, and I think that's why that academy has become so renowned within the industry, is because we really do concentrate on the sales and marketing part of the business. This is the part of your business that really is key to it's the engine of your growth. So that's where we spend the time. That's what we talk about. We'll give you some hard ideas and some hard information to take home that you can use to grow that business. The way that it works is we bring you in on a Wednesday. We have dinner that Wednesday night, cocktails. We'll also go right in and start talking about some opportunities. We'll go all day on Thursday, we'll again end the day with dinner and a reception, and then we'll go half a day Friday, get you lunch, and get you back on the way back to your home base, wherever that may be, whether you're driving or flying. We do take care of your expenses, so we're going to take care of your travel, we're going to take care of your hotel, and we're going to take care of your miscellaneous expenses while you're there. Your expense is going to be that time out of your office, so you can count on being out of your office Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and that's coming up in late March. We'll have another one probably in mid to late May. We'll have another one in early September, and then probably a final one in late October. As we have those dates set, we'll give you a call and see if it's a good fit for you. If you have looked at the itinerary, saw it's good fit, and then send us back that registration form. So that's kind of the ticket to be considered, is to complete and return that registration form. If you've checked yes, you will get that registration form and can return it. For those of you that have checked no, I appreciate your honesty on that one. Great opportunity to up your business, to learn, to take home a lot of tools, and to meet some top producers and get some great ideas from them. So I'm going to go ahead and close that poll out. I see we have some folks that did not vote. There's probably some really good reasons for that. Again, if you want to chat with me personally about that, give me a call at 800-255-5055. I'm going to close that poll now. Thank you all for your quick vote. And let's get moved on. I'm going to skip over that slide, and now we're going to move on, and we'll have Dave. We have the good fortune to actually have Dave here with us today, so he's going to take over the mic here shortly. Before he does, I want to give you a little background on Dave that Dave may not be comfortable giving on himself. So Dave has been in the business since the very early 80s, does both securities and insurance products, has been a top producer with us perennially since we met him about 11 or 12 years ago now. So he is a working coach, which I think is really the key to the success that so many of our producers have enjoyed in working with Dave. He's coached on a one-on-one basis, just strictly practicing business management. He's coached on seminars on both Social Security, retirement mistakes, and 401k. He has probably very, very close now to 500 total personal seminars under his belt. That's not seminars that he's coached for. That's seminars that he has done here locally. So he is eating his own cooking, and he will tell you that's the main source of his ongoing business, and it has been for many, many years, and been very successful at it. So when you hear what Dave has to say, please go at it from the perspective that you're talking not only to someone that knows how to do seminars, knows the processes, and knows theoretically how to do things, but also down in the trenches and practically knows the ins and outs of what you're dealing with, and also is involved in the regular changes that go on. Because there are things that change and things that work better, and he's got a good network of folks that he works with that have great ideas on things that are working and give him great feedback on things that maybe aren't working so well for them right now, which he shares with his entire group. So a great resource for us. We'd love to have Dave aboard with us. And right now I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Dave Pimper.
Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone's having a great day. In Nebraska land, it is nasty outside. It is snowing. The saving grace is about 25 or 6 degrees instead of below zero, but we got like 50-mile-an-hour winds and it's snowing. So I hope it's a lot better where you're at. My name is Dave Pimper. I'm a producer just like you are. I do have a coaching business also, Lazarus Coaching. And that's why I'm here today. And I coach only for IAMS, Insurance Agency Marketing Services. That wasn't the case in the old days. I've been coaching in sales training for almost 30 years now. And what happens is that besides writing my business through IAMS, I was impressed with how they really go and help the producer. They know how their bread is buttered, and that's by the production of the producer. So what happens here is that, and I want to make sure, Steve, did I just to forward those on? Just right here. Good. I just want to make sure that we were all together. What happens is that my expertise lies in sales production. And I do a lot of seminars, a lot of public seminars. My seminars, I've done 471 seminars, and I've got 2 more coming up on the 401k IRA rollover game plan. We've got 5 different seminar systems, and we're highlighting the 401k rollover and IRA rollover game plan today. If you have any questions, certainly type those in, and we will answer those either as we go along, or we'll do it at the end of the presentation. The presentation will last about a half an hour, maybe 35 minutes at the most, and hopefully it'll be interesting to you and well worth your time today. So now those are actually slides from the workshop. There's about 40 slides that I have, and we're only going to go through maybe 25 of those or so we do go more in depth. I also, because it's timely information, with all of my workshops now, I'm going through 4 slides that have to do with the new tax reform, with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, with the Trump tax reform, and that's interesting to people. We talk about the corporate side and then how it works as from an individual. So we do that also with those slides too. So let's just go in and take a little quiz of how much you really know about the 401k IRA rollover marketplace, okay? So let's go. Here's where we go, starting the quiz. Say you make your initial Roth IRA contribution for the 2015 tax year on April the 15th of 2016, which you can do. You can do it up until you file. So how many years do you have to wait to withdraw all of your money out tax-free? So the earnings and the growth tax-free. If you put on April 15th of 16 for the 15 year. Well, if you guessed 5 years, that's what almost everyone guesses, but it's not. It's actually the waiting period is 3 years, 8.5 months. The reason is no matter when you put in for a Roth contribution, it will always go back to 1/1 of the year the contribution was for. Bet you didn't know that. What type of trust do you have to establish for your IRA when your intent is to make sure your designated or your human beneficiary within that trust are able to stretch out the tax deferral for their lifetimes? What type of trust do you have to put together? Okay. Well, if you guessed a see-through trust, it's called a look-through trust. It's a type of a conduit trust. You're exactly right. And a lot of the ones that are out there are not. They have to be a certain kind of trust to be able to inherit and stretch that money out. Third question, what type of trust do you have to establish for your non-IRA with an annuity when your intent is to make sure your designated human beneficiaries within that trust are able to stretch out the tax deferral? So a non-IRA, how do you stretch it out? It's a trick question. Can't do it. Normally you'll just take the 5-year tax rule. Okay. What does designation per stirpes mean pertaining to beneficiaries? Per stirpes. There's actually per capita and per stirpes. Per stirpes means it goes down through the bloodline or by the root or by the branch. And we'll talk more about that here throughout the presentation. So let's go. This is our first slide. So when we go in and we're given the workshop, and we hope that, if we're mailing out 6,000 pieces, we hope that we get, you hope you get 35 to 45 people between the 2 nights. 25 to 27 buying units. That should give us 10 plus appointments, which is way enough to go in and to do business. The odds are in your favor. But we're talking about rollover. So people who come to this workshop normally have retirement money. Okay? So here are some of the options. What do you do when you're looking at a 401k? Now that's for profit. 403b is nonprofit. 457 is really a twin sister. It's a deferred comp plan, the government deferred comp plan. But they have a lot of similarities. So you can do nothing. You can leave it there. Normally, if it's under 5,000, you can. You can roll it over to a new company retirement plan. Yep, if they'll allow it. You take a lump sum distribution. That's normally not a good idea because it is taxed. There is one reason why you may want to do a lump sum distribution. Convert to a Roth IRA. Roll it over to a traditional, or transfer it to a traditional IRA. Number 5 is the way that we get compensated most likely from this. So if you do nothing, we don't get compensated. You roll over to a company retirement plan, we don't get compensated. Take a lump sum contribution, let's say invested with you, we don't get compensated. Convert and roll over. But I think it's very, very important that it's a balanced approach, and you tell the prospect who is in the crowd that we're trying to, this is a very much of an advice-oriented presentation, not a product-oriented, not a sale-orientation. Okay? And then what we do, we go through each one of those. Then we'll talk about the goods and bads of do nothing, goods and bads of rolling it over. So let's say you do nothing. Yeah, you leave it where it is. So the question is, will your existing 401 plan force you to take your investments out? Normally, if it's under 5,000, they will. If it's over 5,000, they won't. If you do nothing with your investments, stay in your existing plan. Yeah. So why would you want to leave it in your existing plan? Well, one of the reasons is that if you retire at the age of 55 or older, doesn't work if it's before 55, and you leave your money in the 401k, you can take it out without a 10% penalty pre-59 and a half. That's pretty cool. But you got to be 55 or older. Okay? So if you're 54, you leave the company, you turn 55, the money's still there, can't do it. So do I have, say a person's got 400,000 and I ask them, are they going to need money? They're 55 years old. They're leaving their 401k. I'll ask them, are you thinking, is there anything, a big purchase in the next 4.5 years before you turn 59 and a half, which then there's no 10% with, penalty. And let's say, yeah, I am going to buy a car here in a couple of years. It's 35, 40,000. So we'll hold back 50 or 60 or 70,000 in the 401k, leave it there, so we can take that out without any 10% penalty and transfer all the rest into a traditional IRA or Roth IRA. Yeah. Pretty cool. Now, other considerations, ERISA, some states, it's easier for creditors to get to an IRA than it is to a 401k, an ERISA company retirement plan. There isn't much difference in the state of Nebraska, but there might be a bigger situation in your state. Why would also people leave it there? Well, maybe fees are lower than what the costs are on the outside. They could be higher though, couldn't they? If you use a fixed annuity, what's the internal fees on a fixed annuity? There's not. Or a fixed index without an income rider, there's normally not. There's caps, there's participation rates, there's surrender charges, holding periods, but not an internal fee. So it can be less going outside. Or maybe you just need your choice. I mean, no decision. It might be my best decision right now. I don't have to make a decision. Okay? So that's kind of how I go through. When I go through those slides, I'm trying to say here's kind of the positives, here's kind of the negatives, and I like to give them, not on every single slide, but on a lot of them, what is something they didn't know? And most people don't know about the 55 rule. They know about the 59.5 rule, but they don't know about the 55 rule. Okay? If there's any questions, just type them on in. You could roll your retirement funds to a new company retirement plan. Well, why would you do that? Well, you just want to, consolidate the funds. You want to keep it in the IRA because you can't get a loan from an IRA, but you may be able to get a loan up to 50% of the money in your 401k if it's in the bylaws of that plan, documentation of that plan. Fees could come into play. Maybe investment choices. Maybe you got better. You're with XYZ before, and now you're with ABC, and you feel more comfortable with your investment choices. Yeah. Now, time out. When I'm going through those slides, do I have to hit every single bullet point here? No, you don't. There's 7 of them, and I might have talked to 3 or 4 of them. And people can read. They can read those different things that are on up there. So you don't have to follow. It's just a good guide to follow. Now, this is a pretty wild fact, but over half of the people in 401ks take their money out and it's 100% taxed. Can you believe that? Now, hardly ever does it happen with me because they wouldn't contact me. They're going to use that money for something. But a lot of those would be smaller. But can you believe that 54% of the people I've read that take their money out? But if you take a lump sum distribution from a company retirement plan, besides 100% of it being taxed, the IRS is going to withhold 20% of mandatory federal income taxes from that. They don't trust you that you're going to pay that at the end of the year. So if it's 100,000, they're going to take out 20 grand. If it's 400,000, they're going to take out 80 grand and hold back for taxes. That's your money, not earning any interest or growth potential. And if you want to, if you roll it over in a 60-day rollover where you get the check made out to you, you got 60 days, that's fine. You can do that. But now you have to make up that 20%. Well, not everybody can do that. There is one good reason to lump sum, or at least a portion of that money, and it's called a net unrealized appreciation, NUA. Probably have never heard about it. Now, if you're not securities licensed, you've got to talk about this in very general way because you can't give investment advice without the license. If you do have a 65, 6, or 7, of course you can. So here's what happens with net unrealized appreciation. Say you work for IBM and you own IBM stock, or you work for Kellogg's and you own Kellogg stock, or you work for Microsoft and you own Microsoft stock, which almost all companies allow you to buy the company stock and put it into your retirement plan with them. Let's say you retired, there's $400,000 worth of stock with IBM. 100,000 is in actual IBM single stock. 300,000 are in mutual funds. You've been putting into that IBM stock for 30 plus years. Let's say you've got, just making this up now hypothetically, but you got a $25,000 cost basis, meaning it's grown 75,000 plus a 25 that of the original principal, so it's worth 100. But your cost basis of what you actually paid is 25 grand. Well, because if you roll it all over because it's in an IRA, all of it will be taxed at ordinary income tax rate. But what happens if you could get part of that taxed at a long-term capital gains rate? Much, much more competitive in the lower tax bracket, especially the higher your income bracket is. If you're in a lower income bracket, it may not make much difference. But Here's what happens is, has to be the stock that your company was in. But you know what you do? You have to do it all by the end of the year. But you roll out the 300,000, you put it into a fixed index, or mutual fund, or whatever you work with that money. And the other 100,000 has a cost basis of 25. You roll that over into an individual account in that 401k shareholder's name. And what happens is that now you're going to pay taxes. You're going to pay taxes of ordinary income tax on 25,000. But the 75,000 of growth is long-term capital gains. Those long-term capital gains, you can go in, or that 75,000 can all be taxed as a long-term capital gain, which is going to be less than what your ordinary income tax is. The higher the bracket, the bigger difference it makes. The more money there is, the bigger difference it makes. Yeah. Pretty cool, huh? Not just any stock. Has to be the single stock, the publicly traded single stock, not privately, publicly traded, if there is one, of the firm that you worked for. How cool is that? Now I've got 4 or 5 slides like this. I used to have, I paid a royalty to a humorist that had humorous slides, but it says experience is a good school, but the fees are high. Now I go back to that NUA, net unrealized appreciation, a couple slides. Actually, there's two more slides with that in the real full presentation. But what happens is that, let's say that you go in and you put into a single account that appreciate a stock, but you don't move the other until the end of the year. Oh, you got a huge taxation problem now. That's why if you don't do it correctly, you're making a big mistake. So you just tell people, this is why to use a professional like myself can be so rewarding to you without having problems. So Roth IRA, that's the tax-free, right? Yeah. So with a traditional IRA, you have a deductibility. With a Roth, you do not. Roths were started in the late 90s, 1997 or 1998, from a senator named Roth, but there's no age limit. So in a traditional IRA at 70.5, when you start to have to take out RMDs, required minimum distributions, you can't put into the Roth. Here, there's no age limit. You do need earned income. So that isn't like investment income or rental income or farm income. You need, wage or 1099 earnings income, but you let it grow just like a traditional. It's all basically tax-free. It's just that you pay ordinary income tax in the IRA, take it out for traditional. With Roth, it's tax-free. The higher your bracket is, the more you're going to gain from having a tax-free Roth. Now, there are income limits. So if you're married filing jointly, you're up getting a little under 200,000, you'll phase out. I think it's about 120,000, give or take, maybe 127,000 on an individual. But what happens is that the Roth is much more popular right now than what a traditional IRA is. That tax-free investment, it's a big, big thing. Now, Roth conversions is when you take a traditional IRA and you convert it into a Roth. And then we talk about conversions here. Conversions don't go back to the year, like the 3 years, 8.5 months. That goes back to the original amount that, or the original date that it's going. So if you convert on today, March, what is today? The 6th, March the 6th. What happens is that you're going to go and have a 5-year from each one. Just a single Roth, whenever you start the first one, if it's been 1 year and you start another one, then you have, instead of 3 years, 8.5 months, now all of a sudden it's just going to be less time for the next one, less time. So after 5 years, then the instant you put it in on a regular Roth IRA, it's tax-free, not on a conversion. Everyone is a brand new 5-year period the instant you put it on in. But you're taking money from a traditional IRA. Say it's $100,000. You take the $100,000 out, you got to pay taxes on it. So out of your pocket comes 30 grand, and now the 100,000 is tax free. What we do a lot is partial. We do a lot of partial conversions. They want to do 100, but they just can't afford to pay all those taxes. We do 10 grand a year for 10 years, plus whatever the growth is, and you convert the whole thing, but not pay nearly as much taxes. Now, municipal bonds, the income there are included in the taxation. It's called the provisional income for Social Security, but Roth income is not, or Roth growth is not. So, if you're trying to get under brackets for Social Security, it could be worthwhile to put something in tax deferred or something tax free, not munis, because that counts, but in a Roth investment, Roth conventional IRA or Roth conversion. So if you have any questions, certainly bring them on up. Now, every one of those slides has language, and I wrote that language. I put this together myself, had it FINRA reviewed in case your security's licensed. And what happens is the language is teaching language. So this slide here is interesting because the recharacterization, it's out now. There's not such a thing as recharacterization with the new Tax Act. This is when you were able to go in and kind of do it over again, a do-over. You did a Roth and you got to do it over by October 15th of next year. Cannot do this any longer. They take that you can't do a do-over with the Roth IRA anymore. Okay. So how do you move your 401k to an IRA? And this is really the meat of us doing business with the client. But there's indirect rollovers and there's direct rollovers or transfers. And I'll tell you right now, in the old days, back in the 80s, we would almost always do indirect rollovers. The money came to the client, made out to him. We had 60 days. I've done two in the last 2 years. I did one about 3-4 weeks ago. I did one about a year and a half ago. With that are from direct rollovers. So what's a direct rollover? It's made out to the individual. You got 60 days to roll it over or all of it is taxed. If it comes from a company retirement plan, an ERISA plan, they're going to hold out 20% of that money. Not an IRA to IRA, they will not. You can only do one direct rollover transfer per year for all of your IRAs. Not the case with indirect rollovers. You can transfer as many times because you're never touching the money. So then what happens, I go start talking about, here's an indirect rollover. We just talked about that. One rollover per year limit on all of the IRAs you have. Okay? So a direct rollover talks again about it. No once per 12-month rollover. This is a direct rollover, a transfer. This is what you need to be doing with almost all of the money that you're working with. Much safer for the client, much safer for you. No 20% mandatory withholding. Now, what you're seeing quite often, I just did one yesterday. No, it happened to be with Fidelity, but Fidelity, we called Fidelity. This was an in-service non-hardship withdrawal plan, which we'll talk about before they've retired. We took money out, $200,000, and the check is made out to the new custodian, which is a trust company in our part, but it's mailed to the client. So, but that doesn't count. He can't cash it. It's to the trust companies for the benefit of the client. So you're seeing more and more of that. So that counts as still a direct rollover transfer. So when I say custodian or trustee, those are interchangeable. So you can also do it from existing IRA to a new IRA. So you're at XYZ brokerage house or mutual fund or insurance company or whatever it is, and you want to go and roll it over. Why do you? What's the emphasis of that? Well, first of all, you do get the continued tax deferral. You may go in and have many more investment options. Now, you will for sure with the 401k, but you might with an existing IRA also. IRAs have far fewer rules than 401ks. Fees could be higher or lower. If you're using fixed or fixed index, it's probably going to be lower. And a lot of people like to grouping monies together to keep the consolidation and make it simple. That's what they're trying to do. Now, when you talk about beneficiaries, I say right away that I'm not a lawyer, of course, but beneficiaries is something that's on every retirement account form. Okay? So you've got basically 7 options, leaving it blank, meaning then you die what? If it's blank, intestate, without a will. So if you don't have a will, well, let's say you leave it blank, then it goes to the will, but if you don't have a will, it's intestate then. Yeah. So what happens is that the government's basically going to decide where that money goes, and they'll probably guess it right, but they may not. Name your estate or will. Yeah, it goes through probate. There's a cost for that. Your spouse normally is your primary. Your children normally are your contingent or secondary. But grandchildren or other individuals could come into play. Some people like to leave some money to charity, which is tax-free for the charity. So you'd rather not do it through a Roth because that's a tax-free. There's not such a thing as double tax-free when it comes to this. Or you could have the beneficiary to be a trust. And it says here, I've got all the money I'll ever need if I die by 4 o'clock. I've actually changed the position of that slide a little bit. But on the beneficiaries, and I always say stretching it, meaning it to inherit, having those beneficiaries to inherit the monies. So almost all company retirement plans, meaning 401ks, 403bs, 457s, they will not allow you to stretch out the beneficiaries. They will not allow you to go in and to inherit that money for your beneficiaries. Why? Because it costs them money. They have to go in and do all the reporting for risk reporting into to the government, to DOL. Yeah, just a drag. So what happens is that to be able to stretch that, it would need to be rolled over into a conventional or a Roth IRA. Now, beneficiaries are a funny thing because many times people, the agent or the broker, the advisor goes through this pretty quickly. It's a very inexpensive way to designate who your funds are. And I normally tell a story here, which is a true story. It's probably 12, 13 years ago, but it was on an IRS blog, that tax blog that I was watching, and was up in Wisconsin, and a guy had been working there his whole life, but he worked right out of high school, married for 2.5 years, divorced, no kids, got remarried, got in a car wreck, killed himself at 64, 2 years before retirement. He had $413,000 in his retirement plan. And when they go look at the beneficiary, who is it? It's his first wife, his ex-wife, who's still living. And they took it all the way up to the very, very highest court because his will, of course, was correct. But who got $413,000? His first wife. And in our business, we call that a bad day. Unless you're the first wife, I guess. So I like to tell stories like that because it makes people hit home, and I'll say, you know what? You should do a beneficiary review and know who your beneficiaries are. Make sure that they're current and they're who you want them to be. Okay? So if you have any questions, certainly mark them all down. So properly titling your inherited IRA, or a synonym is your stretch IRA. You're stretching out. So what happens is, let's say you're going on in and you're using your child as one of your beneficiaries. Well, if you die at 80 and that child's 25, yeah, you know what happens is that child might only have to take out 0.5%. Instead of a year at 80, a year 6%. Yeah. And they can just take out their minimum all the way through for years and years and years. It lengthens, that's what inherited or stretching means. It lengthens the time that you can go in and you can let that money work for you. But it needs to be titled something like this. John Doe Sr., who's his IRA is deceased, the date, for the benefit is his son, John Doe Jr., the beneficiary. It needs to be something like that. This is the one we use. Now, though the designation of designating the beneficiaries, they need it done by September the 30th of the year after death. You must begin taking RMDs by December 31st, the year after death. The way you figure required minimum distributions is a little different with designated beneficiaries for inherited IRAs than it is for a regular IRA. And interesting enough is that the name of a contingent beneficiary are called eligible players. While you're still living, like myself, and let's say that my wife is deceased, it's going to go to my kids, I can designate if she's going to inherit it of who the beneficiary she can pick from. Say she's with say she's with the Hells Angels. I'm not going to name any Hells Angels, but I am going to name her Uncle Frank, her Uncle Bill, her brother Don, and her sister Mary. And she has to pick amongst that list. How cool is that? Yeah, not very good for the motorcycle gang, but certainly good for you from your grave of deciding who the beneficiaries are. Remember I talked about per capita, per stirpes, head versus bloodline? And then there's also transfer on death. That is a direct transfer, bypasses the will. It's a beneficiary for a non-IRA account, bank account, personal brokerage account, etc. RMDs, yeah, they start at 70.5. They start at 70.5. Your very first year, you can take, instead of the end of the year, you can actually wait to April 1st the next year, but now you're going to have 2 distributions in the same year, which you may not want to pay taxes on. In IRAs, if you have 5 IRAs at $100,000 each, you can take $500,000. Say you got a $20,000 RMD, you can take that out of one of them, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of them. Makes no difference. How about you got 5 401ks? Same thing, 100, 100, 100, 100, and 100. You have to take out the same amount from each and every one of those individually. They're calculated differently. Yeah. Or QLAC, Qualified Longevity Annuity Contract. So what happens is that, and then we talk about that a little bit, about how you can defer your RMD. You can stop it for the years, but you've got to start taking then by the time that you're 85 years of age. You can defer it out. And it's an annuity contract, Qualified Longevity Annuity Contract. I'm proud to be paying taxes in the U.S. The only thing is, I can be just as proud with half the money, Arthur Godfrey. Don't pay more taxes than you have to. This is a big deal right now. Most plans have in-service non-hardship withdrawals. Only the big ones, 75, 80% of the Fortune 500s had it 15 years ago. But so many plans, even smaller plans, have it available now. But this is, normally you can't take money out until you stop working at a company. But now if you turn 59 and a half, an in-service non-hardship withdrawal plan, if that provision is there, you're able to take part of it or all of it out. Interesting, I've done 400,000 in the last couple of weeks of in-service non-hardship withdrawal, and another 300,000 I've uncovered proposing, and he'll let me know next week, all in-service non-hardship withdrawal plans. And interesting enough, those were from 2 of those. One was not, but 2 of those are from seminars, and really all of their money was wrapped up into their retirement plan, and they had no idea until we called, and we were able. The guarantees in most retirement plans are pretty pitiful, but the guarantees on the outside through fixed or fixed indexed annuities can be very competitive. Very. In fact, IAMS has got right now, I'm a cap guy, not much of an income rider guy, but they've got it it's a 10-year contract, but a 6.5% 1-year point-to-point cap on the S&P 500. We haven't seen caps that high since pre-2008 on fixed index annuities. Very, very competitive. But this non-hardship, we actually have a seminar on in-service non-hardship withdrawal plans. If you live in a big city where there's big corporations, it could be just a really a neat thing for you to go on in and have some freedom and flexibility to take money and invest it in something that maybe you can't get that same type of diversification from the company retirement plan, called an in-service non-hardship withdrawal plan. So as we're getting done to the ending of the workshop here, 5 rules to know. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. We talk about the good things and the bad things of that. But also Social Security. If you don't know Social Security, you might want to take the slide out. We also have a Social Security workshop, and I'm versed in Social Security. But you know what? But I love this. It says consider using IRA money and delaying Social Security. Well, I always thought we should never take out deferred money until you have to. But whether you have an RMD at 70.5 or an RMD at 66, what's the difference? You're just taking an RMD 4 years early or 4.5 years early. Yeah. So complementing your IRA withdrawals of Social Security. Remember, anything over the age of 66, you're guaranteed 8% plus cost of living. Cost of living last year is 2%. You're guaranteed 10% on your income stream. Where can you do that with a commercial annuity or any kind of interest rate or any kind of guaranteed U.S. government guaranteed growth rate? You absolutely cannot. So as long as some things line up for you like longevity and so forth, yeah, you know what? If you can delay some of that money and take it from another place, that could be in your best interest. And I do throw that slide in there. I think it's worthwhile. So as we kind of finish up on this, here's our last of our slides. You know, I always say there's a lot to think about. Don't you love the thinker there? Yeah. The majority of retirees are not aware, don't understand all the rules. And I'll say, folks, not that I understand every single rule, but I'll tell you right now, I know the majority of them that are important for you. So from a decision standpoint, you need to make the best decision you can for you, not for someone else, but for you. And then I say, everybody take out their consultation form. Now, this consultation form, it has in here, yes, I like a consultation, or no, I don't. But I knock out, I mark off the 2 days, and I go in there and talk about, or 2 weeks, and I just put down times of 9 o'clock, 10:30, 12, 1:30, and 5:15. And so what happens is that I think the new ones, I don't do Saturday morning appointments now. I still do evening. And I think we have a 3:30 in there. So you can put the times in that you want. But I want them to mark a date and a time. I want to commit them right at the workshop itself. So then I make a promise to them. I say, leave your checkbook at home. We're not going to talk about anything about product. We're going to talk about, giving you as much information as we can and advice as we can. Our obligation to you is to uncover one problem or one financial problem and then give you kind of a solution for that. So ask yourself, what are the best rollover options for my company retirement plan? If you do not know, well, then you probably need to mark yes. Could a Roth conversion benefit me? Maybe one mark yes to come in and see me. How do I complement the Social Security by 401k? Could a different investment choice benefit me? Beneficiaries, inherited designation, and the second opinion sometimes is the very best opinion. Now, I spend a little bit more time on that, but then I go in, I talk about procrastination. And I say, you know what, folks? There's an old saying that says, procrastination is my sin. It brings me constant sorrow. I really shouldn't practice it. Perhaps I'll stop. You know what? Never comes, does it? In fact, I've never had anybody come to me and say, Dave, I've made so much money from procrastinating. I can't believe it. So I get people thinking about procrastinating. And then what happens here at the end, I'll say, everybody knows George Foreman. This is the last slide I got. Everyone knows Big George. Made a ton of money in boxing, came back and won the heavyweight championship again, one of the few guys to do that. But you know where Big George made the majority of his money and still does to this day? You're right. Someone says the George Foreman Grill. And so I want to leave the people on a kind of a good feeling about myself, and I want them laughing. And so I say, you know what? Unless you've got your name on a grill, you should probably mark yes and come in and see me. Then everybody kind of laughs. And it's kind of lighthearted. They feel good about themselves. And then I say that we'll pick those up here in 4 or 5 minutes, and then the salads will be coming out right afterwards. This is a dinner workshop. It's not a non-dinner workshop. And I say present over 400, actually over 470 now. I started in the business in 1981. I'm still producing. I'm day to day just like you are. I'm always concerned when you work with a coach that doesn't produce anymore. I virtually have been through every scenario there is. But I make a kind of a complicated subject. I make it a little easier for you to understand. We coach for 5 coaching sessions, and that's how I make my money. I don't make my money from um, override on production. I make my money. I charge $150 per 45-minute session. For 5 sessions, that's $750. The nice thing is IAMS has a scholarship available for $555 if you qualify, meaning if you're contracted and your intent is to write business from this workshop, yeah, then you might have a qualification. And so then it's cost you $195 for the workshop itself. It's a turnkey system, A through Z. And then I can help you from there. Once I'm set up, you can use me. As long as you're writing business through IAMS or using the seminar system, you can use me. So I talk about procrastination here. You don't want it to fall upon your shoulders. If you heard something good today that you say, hey, I'd like to talk to Dave Pimper. And you know what? I work with about 8 people a quarter, 6 to 8 a quarter. So I'm coaching 25 to 30 people a year. This is not my full-time job. This is my CPA says, why are you coaching? Should just be in production full. But I enjoy helping people. But I'll tell you what, seminars are not dead. And the people that do them, they're doing them because they're making them money, I'll assure you. Okay? Now, what happens is that before Steve gets on in here, we're going to set up a poll on the poll, and it basically will just say yes that you'd like to go on in and have I'll just bring that up, that you'd like to go in and have a consultation with myself. So if you mark yes on that, we will sit and talk for about 25 or 30 minutes. And in there, what will happen is that in that 30-minute time period, you can ask me any questions that you want to, any questions whatsoever. And so what happens is that in that 30-minute time period, what I want to do for you is to give you an idea is if seminars would work for you. And it's really, really important because seminars are not for everybody. So one of the things that I'd like to say is that when you go in, the cost of doing the seminar itself, it's the mailing. The mailing is by far the most expensive thing. What happens in the mailing is that we're going to mail out 6,000 pieces, and those 6,000 pieces, what happens is that you're going to get probably about 40 people, give or take, that will come between 2 nights. We always have 2 nights to the seminar itself. And in those 2 nights, you're probably going to have 25, 26 buying units. And is there people there coming just for the meal? Yeah, 15, 20% of the people, they're going to be there just for the meal itself. But what happens is that you have to have a little bit of incentive for the people to come, and many people who come just for the meal, many people go in and they sign up. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to put this. Steve is going to hit the poll here, and then we're going to answer some questions. First of all, on the poll, if you'd like to go in and have a consultation, then just mark yes. And then Lynn or Amy from my office, my 2 administrators, they're going to go in and they will call you. So just put a daytime phone number tomorrow. They will call you in the next couple days to go in and line the appointment up. But just know this: seminars are not dead. They're not dying. There's fewer people doing them now because of regulations. We've got this FINRA reviewed if your securities licensed. If you're not, it's a very, very good turnkey system. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn this on over to Steve Murray, and he'll kind of finish this on up. And it's great talking with you today.
Thank you, Dave. Great job, as always. I appreciate that very much. So as Dave mentioned, there's a poll up there right now, so if you have some interest, just to give you a little feedback from my perspective, our folks that have coached with Dave, on seminars is it is A to Z. So what he's going to do is he's got a team. They'll do everything from help you with your mailing, find the right spot, making sure you got the right demographics, make sure you're right on target with your schedule as to, hey, when do I need to do this? When do I need to do that? Help you with your appointment setting, make sure that goes okay, and then help you once you get that first appointment, how to make sure that you get that second appointment. So it's really A to Z, best coaching in the industry, frankly. I don't know where else you go and get that level of coaching from somebody with that level of experience that is still in the game and still doing it every day himself. So really a valuable thing for you. So if you have some interest, hit yes on that poll. If not, that's okay too. Dave would be the first one to tell you that it's not good for anybody if your interest is lukewarm or less. So take advantage of that. As always, we've had a great webinar today. I see that there are a couple questions that I missed earlier regarding the RIA. So the first question is, what are the costs? So costs run about $2,000 annually. And that includes your E&O coverage and technology fees, so it gives you access to a bunch of technology as well. So that gives you an idea of what it is on the IMS Wealth side. Then the second question I see that I missed there earlier on as well was, are we a broker-dealer? We are not a broker-dealer. We are a registered investment advisory, IMS Wealth, but we do have some good relationships with some broker-dealers. In fact, one of them that probably our best relationship is with Kelton, who happens to be Dave's broker-dealer as well. Good folks, an organization very, very much like IAMS in a lot of ways. Same timeline in the business. 32 years in the business. Very attentive to their folks, and they do a great job from the service standpoint. And great to have. They're just good people. So we recommend Kelton to a lot. So if you'd like more information on Kelton, or if you'd like to see a list of broker dealers that we work with, we'd be glad to make that available to you as well. Then we've got a couple of other questions that have come up. Some of them have to do with a little bit of what's happening with the expenses of seminars and what do you see for results. Dave, do you have a second where you can talk about the cost of seminars and what you're generally seeing from a result standpoint?
Yeah, like I said, the costliest thing of a seminar is the mailing. I mean, you got ours mailing costs 55 cents, and it's a trifold piece or folded piece, 8.5 by 11. And what happens is that's going to cost $3,300. So it's not inexpensive to go in and market the workshop. You also have on this, you have meal costs. And there are some people that say, I just absolutely will not have a meal. Then you're more likely to go into like a Social Security workshop where it's strong enough on its own 2 feet to go in and bring enough people in without a meal, just the educational standpoint of it. But the meal cost, you might as well figure $20 to $25 a meal. So if it's $20 a meal, you got 40 people there, you have about $800 wrapped up into the cost of the meal. So you have, $3,300, $800. I mean, you're between $4,000 and $4,500. And so, we need to go in and write 70, 80, 90,000 on a fixed indexed annuity to break even. And if we write one piece of business, that's certainly, you want to write more than that. But the great thing here is that when you're in front of, say, 10 to 12 to 13 qualified appointments. Like today, I've got an appointment. It's been pretty snowy, so it may not. We have to reschedule, but I have an appointment here at 12 o'clock, which is an hour's time period, comes from the workshop. I have one this afternoon in Fremont that came from the workshop. So what happens is that my day is, I won't say filled up, but I certainly have 1, 2, or 3 appointments each day. And that's very, very important. So let's do this. Please vote yes or vote no. If you don't want to have a consultation, then just put no. We understand that, and we will not call you. What happens is if you would like to get some information, just mark yes. There's about 7 or 8 that still have not voted yet. So if you could vote, I would certainly appreciate it. And the big thing with myself is that this is a laid back 25, 30 minutes. I'm not going to push something down your throat. I mean, I'm 62 years old, been in the business for 36 or 7 years. And it's fun, though, to get a track. People who are successful in seminars are normally bigger producers. When I look at the top 10 biggest producers that IAMS has, I would say at least half of those probably make a fair amount of their money through seminar marketing. Not the only thing, but through seminar marketing. That's been certainly a lead generation for them. So I'm going to go ahead. I appreciate everybody. If you could just finish up voting, that would be wonderful. And I'm going to let Steve Murray just kind of close it up for the day. Thank you.
Thank you, as always, Dave. Great webinar. And I want to finish up by thanking all of you for attending these Tuesday morning webinars. We've got a lot of good sales stuff that we do every other Tuesday. So we appreciate the fact that you join in, and we think it says a lot about you and what you're trying to do with your business, trying to grow your business. So whatever we can do at IAM's here to help you with that, we are certainly glad to do. As I mentioned earlier on with Dave and his coaching, that's a great asset to our firm and a great asset to our producers. We know that when you're doing more business and things are going well for you, that things will go well for us. So anything that we can do to make that happen, we do, including paying for really the super lion's share of the coaching. We want to make sure that people have skin in the game, but we want to make it as easy as possible for you to get in that seminar business, because we know you're going to be successful there. So if we can help, let us know. I'm going to close that poll out. There's a couple of you that didn't vote. I'm guessing probably because you can't. If you have some questions and you want to chat, give us a call here at the office. That's 800-255-5055. Here at IAMS, we're all about helping the producer grow their business and being attentive to his needs and his or her needs along the way. So whatever we can do to help you, by all means, give us a call. Thank you again for joining us today, and have a great finish to your sales week, and stay warm. I feel like I was lost. I don't know how to do those. I got to figure out how to do those polls.